6 years ago, I had an incident on my wedding day. My former fiancé abandoned me and ran away with his other girlfriend. Turns out she was pregnant. That image and details are forever engraved on my mind, and I'll never forget how I felt that day. This was truly a turning point in my life. My family's always been there for me, so I kept close to them. My younger sister is engaged and her wedding will be in a few months. She's struggling with money, so I decided to help her and her fiancé and pay for the wedding dress. This allowed her to buy her dream wedding gown, which cost $7,000. It's a lot for a dress, but she literally cried because she wanted it. This happened a few days before we agreed to go buy the dress. We ate dinner at my parents' home and my cousin and aunt were there. My aunt was asking my sister about the wedding. My sister said that everything was going according to plan and then casually laughed and said, "Let's hope he won't run away with a pregnant mistress or something on our wedding day." I was blown away completely. She laughed and aunt laughed too, as if this was a joke. She was basically mocking what happened to me at my wedding. It happened so fast that I got up and started screaming at her, calling her an idiot. My parents asked me to take it easy and she said it was a joke and she didn't think I'd react so intensely. My aunt remained seated and my cousin asked me to calm down and drink some water. But I grabbed my stuff and as I was getting ready, I told my sister she was getting $0 for her dream wedding dress. Then I walked out. I heard the louder commotion as I walked and my dad and cousin followed me outside, trying to talk, but I asked to be left alone. My dad and I spoke. He said I was too harsh on my sister over a joke and that I know this is how she is with her dark humour. They said she's been crying after I decided to back out of helping her and that this had ruined her wedding. They wanted me to reconsider my decision since it might damage my relationship with my sister, but I refused. Am I the idiot? Edit, my aunt usually brings up what happened from time to time and says stuff like, "If that didn't happen, you'd have had at least 2 kids now," or "Do you know what day it is? Your wedding anniversary." It's harsh, but she stopped doing it anymore. Maybe my sister is being influenced by her, but still, it hurt as much and more coming from my own sister. This is how she is with her dark sense of humour. Give me a break. She seriously lacks self-awareness and simple respect for you. Charged remarks come with charged consequences. Your sister threw the most traumatic experience of your life in your face and laughed about it. Tell her that in 10 years, if she's matured and can sincerely apologise, you might forgive her, and you might consider a nice anniversary gift, if the marriage lasts that long. You are not the idiot. To add to this, OP, take that $7,000 and buy yourself a nice little vacation. Laugh all the way from the airport to your hotel room. Also, if your sister is struggling for money, spending $7,000 on a dress she will wear for a few hours is ridiculous. That kind of decision-making is likely why she's a struggling financial dumpster fire. Honestly, getting something ridiculously expensive just because someone else is paying just reeks of entitlement. I know it was the dream dress before OP offered to pay, but I could never accept such a grand gesture unless the person was obscenely wealthy. And why would she have been looking at dresses so far out of her budget to begin with? The fact that she's upset about her dress and not how badly she hurt her sister says it all. What a narcissist. The aunt can cough up the $7,000. I also love how the dad tries to guilt-trip OP that she might be ruining the relationship with her sister while ignoring that sweet little sister fired the first shot. Shouldn't Dad be telling the little sister she was cruel and potentially ruining her relationship with OP? Why so one-sided? OP, screw them. This was a horribly hard thing to happen to you. You're allowed to grieve and you're allowed to never give a dime to that sister of yours. Let her get married in a garbage bag for all I care. When I, 40 female, was 16, I started dating Matt. We married at 20 and welcomed our beautiful daughter Ivy at 22. I welcomed our son alone at 24. Matt was the love of my life. If he was still here, I have no doubt that we'd still be married. I have no doubt that we would be just as in love with each other now as we were back then. But Matt died before he could even meet our son Jacob, and I was so certain that I would never fall in love again after him. I thought there would be no one else, no other man that could make me smile as brightly as Matt did. Even when friends suggested I started moving on or when my parents talked about this nice young man they'd met, I never once wavered in my belief that Matt was the only one for me. Until I met James, 42 male, when I was 36. He's wonderful, brilliant. I love him so much. I feel like Matt led him to me. It was his way of telling me that it was okay to move on, that I didn't have to be alone anymore. I feel in my heart that James is also the love of my life. He's given me 4 good years and I'm terrified that he will be taken away from me. My kids love him too, and his daughter, now 20, also loves me. We moved in together, he's helping Ivy pick out colleges, and we even have a baby together. James knows how much I loved and still love Matt. He's come with me to his grave, spoken to his headstone like they were old friends. He even told Matt when he was planning to propose. A few nights ago, we had a celebratory engagement dinner. Matt's family was invited because they're still very much involved in my life and I wanted to share this moment with them. James and I both gave short speeches to our families, and in mine I mentioned that I was lucky to have been blessed with 2 soulmates, which apparently was the wrong thing to say because I was later pulled aside by Matt's mother to say that she was hurt by what I said and that Matt would be rolling around in his grave if he heard. Matt's aunt then reached out afterwards to ask if I'd ever loved him. Some members of my family think I should have put it into the speech that it was obvious I loved James because we were engaged alone. But I wanted to incorporate Matt into my speech somehow because he was the father of my children, and James approved of the speech beforehand anyway. A friend says I can't have loved Matt that much if I was moving on like this. Her partner died 3 years ago, and she, like I used to, maintains that she'll never find love again. Another friend from the same group says it's natural to move on and that Matt wouldn't want me to be alone. I don't know, I'm torn. I'm afraid that I'm really tarnishing my relationship with Matt by getting married again. I'm afraid that I'm not allowed to love James this much. I'm afraid that I'm an idiot for saying that they're both my soulmates, even though I feel that it's true. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Shame on anyone who feels like they have the right to judge you. You love Matt, you always will. You found a fantastic new start with James, who knows how you feel about Matt and approved of the speech. They may still be grieving and don't know how to express their loss, but they have no right to belittle what you had with Matt and what you have with James. I'm happy you're healing and found both of your loves. It was 12 years between Matt's passing and your meeting James. Not even the most judgmental prude could have anything to say about that. James also seems like a stand-up guy. He gets it and understands that it's not a competition. Matt's mom and the rest can go pound sand. Agree. James sounds like an exceptional person. I'm so happy for you. My mother lost my father at 46 and married my stepdad at 51. She said she loved both of them equally but differently. Love is always an unexplainable phenomenon. You can never describe how it feels, and you're entitled to as much love as your significant others have brought you. Some people never even find one soulmate. You find 2 on your journey. It's a specific journey to you that others won't understand. I've, 34 male, been with my husband, 33, for 8 years. We have a toddler daughter and own a house in the country together. Earlier this past week, I hung out with my siblings to plan a barbecue and just catch up. My sister brought up this TikTok trend where people describe their partner's beige flag, a weird quirk that makes you pause for a bit and then move on with the relationship. We were all sharing our partner's little quirks, and I mentioned what I felt was my husband's. Every night, the last thing he does before going to bed is a perimeter check. He literally gets out of bed with a flashlight and walks the tree line around our property, looking for anything out of the ordinary. If he doesn't do it, he won't sleep until he does. He even does it at hotels when we're on vacation. I find it super endearing. It's one of the ways he shows his love for me and our daughter. We hosted a barbecue for our families yesterday. My husband was meandering around, checking to ensure trash was put away properly, as our area sometimes has bears. My brother-in-law made a mean comment to him about doing a perimeter check early in the day, and I think it embarrassed my husband a bit. He can be very shy, which just put him out a bit. I chewed my brother-in-law out for being an idiot. Last night, I apologized to my husband for my brother-in-law's behavior and passed along an apology from my sister. My husband was still pretty upset and said it was his private thing he does, and he didn't think it was right of me to have told my siblings. He even called it mean for me to have done. I said I didn't think it was a big deal, especially when he does it in full view of our neighbors and strangers when we're on vacation. I didn't say it to embarrass him. I was sharing something I love about him. He didn't accept that and said he didn't want to discuss it. Things were tense over breakfast this morning, and when he came home, he said he was still feeling upset with me and wanted some time to himself. I feel like he's overreacting, but I also don't keep many things private, so I don't know how it feels to be this guarded. Am I the idiot for telling my siblings about my husband's beige flag? You are the idiot for thinking he's overreacting. You told the story for laughs and then people laughed. You made a joke at your husband's expense, behind his back, and then chewed your brother-in-law for doing the exact same thing, only to his face. You knew it was a beige flag and not a green one, because you said so. Now you're angry he's a bit upset. You made fun of your husband, then got mad when other people did the same, then got mad that your husband got mad. Great, another crappy trend from TikTok, mocking a partner just to score giggles from other people. Yay, social media, destroying relationships and morals the world around. I'm going to say not the idiot. It's not something he ever told you was private, and how were you supposed to know your brother-in-law would bring it up later on? He's sensitive about it, but I don't think you did anything wrong. Also, everyone needs to stop acting like they've never poked fun at a partner with your friends and family. My husband and I don't have any biological kids. 4 years ago, we fostered Emilia, 19, and she's still living with us after aging out. We're also fostering 3 little kids, so needless to say we have a pretty full house. My husband and Emilia have always had a difficult relationship. They're both pretty stubborn and butt heads a lot. We considered telling her social worker that it wasn't working out so often, especially in the first year, because of how often they argued, how stressed the arguments made her, and because he has more of an authoritarian parenting style that she didn't respond well to. She and I have always been very close though, and she considers me to be her mom. The problem is, since we started fostering the younger 3, she's had to watch how good of a dad he is with the little ones and gets upset that he wasn't the same with her. It wasn't always rational, but there was a lot of resentment and jealousy that she had to work on. Now my husband has a niece, 18, who will be on her own this fall. Her parents are kicking her out at the end of the summer because she turns 18. She got a full scholarship to a school 10 minutes from us and an hour away. My husband wants her to move in, he'll get her a car and have her go to the school 10 minutes away with us financially supporting her. I don't want to do that. First, we already told Emilia we will not cover 100% of her expenses. She has a job and pays half of her car payment and insurance, all of her gas, maintenance and repairs. She pays her portion of the phone bill and is responsible for all of her spending money. Us paying for all of that with his niece would hurt Emilia, and he'd either have to admit to having a favourite or we'd have to fully support both. I said if she goes to the school an hour away, in an area with much cheaper rent, I wouldn't mind sending her some money every month to help out with rent and groceries, with the expectation that she has a job and pays for some of her own expenses. He says we shouldn't expect her to be alone yet and thinks that only partially supporting her is still too harsh. I told him that we couldn't do anything for his niece that we weren't doing for Emilia. Still, he thinks it's unfair to compare the two and says that Emilia should be grateful for what we provide for her, no matter what others get. I don't like how he's going about it, and he thinks I'm spoiling Emilia and abandoning his niece to spare Emilia's feelings, so I wanted to see if I was in the wrong. Oh boy, your husband is telling you loud and clear what he thinks foster parenting is. His attitude is, these unfortunates I've generously taken in are not family and I expect unfailing gratitude from them for allowing them to keep my roof over their heads. He doesn't like Emilia and he wants her to know it. Excluding her is the whole point. Not the idiot, but I think you've been burying your head in the sand with regard to your husband's character. Unpopular opinion. You are the idiot. Your husband clearly hates Emilia, has been nasty towards her from day one, and obviously doesn't consider Emilia his daughter or even a family member. And you're refusing to acknowledge this or address it, leading to repeated situations where Emilia, who's already gone through a nightmare in the foster system, spent her last years in a toxic environment and then had her heart broken watching her foster dad love on and dote on her younger foster siblings and potentially love on and dote on his niece. At the same time, you both hold incredibly high and unfair financial expectations from this teenage young adult. Take your husband to couples counselling and figure out what is wrong with him and why you're enabling his borderline abuse of Emilia. I agree. I'm curious if the husband actually wanted to keep fostering Emilia or if the wife pressured him into it. Opie and her husband appear to have very different ideas of obligation to their foster kids. I'm guessing he sees them as temporary kids that they're fostering, not his kids since they didn't adopt any of them. His niece is a real family. These kids are just fostered. I, 28 male, proposed recently to my girlfriend, 27. We're planning the wedding to happen next year. My fiancé has a 5-year-old golden retriever mix. I had a few bad experiences with dogs as a kid. Her dog is very friendly and he gets all the attention from my fiancé. She denied some jobs that won't let her work from home because she worries about the dog. I work from home 3 days a week and she only texts asking how the dog is. I planned this lovely trip last weekend to celebrate our engagement. I booked a nice hotel and made reservations at a nice restaurant. One of our close friends stayed with the dog. My fiancé asked her to text with an update every 2 hours. I did my best to make it a wonderful weekend. We had reservations for 7 p.m. at the restaurant. My fiancé didn't get ready till 6:40 as she hadn't heard from the sitter. When we arrived at the restaurant, we had to wait 30 minutes for a table to open. When we sat down, my fiancé spent the entire dinner on her phone trying to get a hold of the friend. I paid for the meal and got up from the table, telling her I'd wait in the car. She came out 20 minutes later screaming at me for leaving her at the table alone. I yelled back that she ruined our engagement trip by putting the dog over us. We sat silently all the way home and she was thinking about staying with her parents. I'm now being called an idiot for leaving the restaurant. Dude, call off the engagement. She's already married to the dog. I love my pets to bits, but a daily update from a close friend watching her dog should have been enough. You are not the idiot, but Jesus, please explain why you thought proposing to this person would be a good idea. Has she always acted this overbearing and obsessed with her dog, or is this something new? I hope you didn't expect her behavior to change once you got engaged, because it's definitely not going to change if you choose to marry her. If she couldn't even carve out time for a celebratory dinner, think about what other milestones she will miss because of the dog. She already has a number one in her life, and it's her dog, not you.